This is Chapter 6 on Managing Quality. So as an outline, we'll start the chapter with a case study on Arnold Palmer Hospital, and we'll cover the main issues of quality and strategy, defining quality, total quality management, tools of TQM, and the role of inspection. So there are 6 learning objectives here. First, we're going to define quality and TQM, describing ISO International Quality Standards, Six Sigma, benchmarking in TQM, quality robust products and Taguchi concepts, and finish off the chapter with 7 tools of TQM. So in the Arnold Palmer Hospital, they focus on, of course, children. So there are 12,000 babies delivered annually, and they have to make sure that they implement the highest quality standard. So they implement continuous improvement, employee empowerment, benchmarking, just in time, and also quality tools. So to support company strategies in terms of either differentiation, low cost, and response, they need to manage quality. So quality helps firms increase sales and also reduce costs. However, we know that building a quality organization is a demanding task. So there are 2 ways that quality can improve profitability. The first way is sales gains. The second way is from reduced costs. So when you have sales gains through improved response, flexible pricing, and improved reputation, you are able to increase your profit. In terms of reduced costs, when you increase your productivity, lower rework and scrap costs, lower warranty costs, you are able to then increase profits. Okay, so let's look at what's the role of quality in the flow of activities in any organization. So to start off, we have organizational practices. So this is where we understand what is important and what is to be accomplished. So it will cover leadership, mission statement, effective operating procedures, staff support, and also training. Then these issues under organizational practices will support what we say quality principles. So these are the things that we focus on how to do, what is important, and to be accomplished. So we do this through customer focus, continuous improvement, benchmarking, just-in-time, tools of TQM. Then employee fulfillment will support what we have decided to be important. So employee attitudes that can accomplish what is important. So it is implemented through empowerment and organizational commitment. Lastly, we have customer satisfaction. So this is where we understand that we would need to have an effective organization that has a competitive advantage. So at this point, we need to be winning orders and gaining repeat customers. So an operations manager's objective is to build a total quality management system that identifies and also satisfies customers' needs. So this is a definition by the American Society for Quality. We have the totality of features and characteristics of a product or service that bears on its ability to satisfy stated or implied needs. There are different views to define quality. First is user base, where we look at it through better performance or having more features. Next is on manufacturing base, where we look at it in terms of conformance to standards and making it right the first time. Third view is product based, where we look at it in terms of specific and measurable attributes of the product. So why is quality important? It has many implications. So the first one is in terms of company reputation. Second is in terms of product liability, where when we produce good products, it enables us to reduce the risk of any issues related to the product. Third is in terms of global implications, where it improves the ability of companies to compete globally. So this is an example of a Quality Achievement Award, the Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award. It was established in 1988, and there are several criteria that are evaluated. So here are the criteria. The next slide here, it shows us about ISO 9000 International Standard, where this is an international recognition. It encourages company to have quality management procedures, detailed documentation, work instructions, and also record keeping. So there are several management principles that companies that apply for ISO 9000 must abide to. So to ensure success, they need to maintain all these management principles. Okay, so in this slide, it explains to us what are the costs involved when we want to ensure quality. The first one is on prevention costs, where we are trying to reduce the potential existence of any defects. Second is appraisal costs, where we spend time and effort to evaluate products, parts, and services. Third is internal failure costs, where we produce defective parts or service before delivery. So when this happens, we need to make sure that we are able to fix the product, or if not, we need to dispose the product. So it's an internal failure cost. Next, we have external failure costs. These are defects discovered after delivery. So this is also a problem which the company has to decide what to do, whether they want to do a rework, they want to handle return goods, and also do some repairs. So defects discovered after delivery can affect the goodwill of companies. We have many leaders talking about quality. So we have here Edward Deming talking about 14 points for implementing quality improvement. Joseph Juran, who talks about how to improve quality. Armand, who talks about 40 steps to quality improvement processes. And Philip Crosby, who coined the term zero defects. So operations managers must deliver healthy, safe, quality products and also services, as poor quality will result in injuries, lawsuits, recalls, and issues with regulation. So ethical conduct must dictate response to problems, and all his stakeholders must be considered. So total quality management encompasses the entire organization from supplier to customer, and it stresses a commitment by management to have a continuing company-wide drive towards excellence in all aspects of products and services that are important to the customer. So here are Deming's 14 points. So it consists of creating consistency of purpose, leading to promote change, building quality into the product, building long-term relationships, continuously improving product quality and service, start training, emphasizing leadership, driving out fear, breaking down barriers between departments, stop haranguing workers or lecturing workers, supporting, helping and improve, removing barriers to pride in work, institute a vigorous program of education and self-improvement, and also putting everyone in the company to work on transformation. So here are the 7 concepts of TQM that I'm going to discuss one by one in the next few slides. First, we have continuous improvement. So it is self-explanatory. Actually, it's never-ending process of continual improvement. So it covers people, equipment, materials, and procedures. And the basis of philosophy is that every aspect of an organization can be improved. So here is Schuhart's PDCA model. It consists of planning, doing, checking, and act. So Kaizen is a Japanese word, describes the ongoing process of unending improvement, and TQM and zero defects also used to describe continuous improvement. The next term is Six Sigma. So it has two meanings. One is regarding statistical definition of a process that is 99.9997% capable. So it portrays 3.4 defects per million opportunities. So for example, here we have 1 million passengers. There would be 3.4 passengers that will experience misplaced luggage. The next meaning is that it's a program designed to reduce defects, lower costs, save time, and improve customer satisfaction. It is a comprehensive system for achieving and sustaining business success. The Six Sigma program was originally developed by Motorola in response to customer complaints and stiff competition. It was then later adopted and enhanced by Honeywell and GE. This is a highly structured approach to process improvement. So it requires a strategy, discipline of implementing the MAIC, and also the 7 TQM tools. So the TMAIC consists of defining the project, measurement of process and collection of data, analysis of data, improvement in the process and procedures, and there needs to be controls in place to make sure that the performance levels are maintained. So in terms of implementing Six Sigma, there needs to be emphasis on defects per million opportunities as a standard metric. There should be extensive training in place for employees. You should focus on corporate sponsor support and creating qualified process improvement experts who can be recognized as black belts or green belts and so on. And there needs to be set objectives in place during implementation. And all this cannot be accomplished without a major commitment from top-level management. So the next concept under TQM is employee empowerment. So we want to get employees involved in product and process improvements, as 85% of quality problems are due to process and material. So there are techniques to implement employee empowerment. We have building communication networks that include employees, developing open and supportive supervisors, moving responsibility to employees, building a high morale organization, and creating formal team structures. So this is a form of team quality circles. So this is a group of employees who meet regularly to solve problems. They are trained in planning, problem solving, and statistical methods. It's often led by a facilitator, and it is very effective when done properly. The next TQM concept is benchmarking. So we're selecting best practices to use as a standard for performance. And the steps include: first, determining what to benchmark; second, forming a benchmark team; third, identifying benchmarking partners; fourth, collecting and analyzing benchmarking information; and lastly, taking action to match or exceed the benchmark. Here are some best practices to resolve customer complaints. First, making it easy for clients to complain, and this is because it can be a form of free market research. Second, responding quickly to complaints. This adds customers and also loyalty from the customers. Third, resolving complaints on first contact. So this can actually help reduce costs. Using computers to manage complaints, so we can discover trends, sharing them, and also aligning it to our services. The last best practice is recruiting the best for customer service jobs. So this should be part of formal training and also career advancement. So there is also a form of internal benchmarking, and this is done when the organization is large enough, where data is more accessible, and should be established in variety of areas when possible. The next concept of TQM is just in time. or we call it JIT. So this is relationship to quality. JIT cuts the cost of quality, where scrap, rework, inventory investment, and damage costs are directly involved with inventory on hand. So less inventory with JIT results in having lower costs. JIT improves quality, where JIT reduces lead time, limit potential errors, and create early warning system for quality problems. So better quality means less inventory and better, easier to employ JIT system. The next term is Taguchi concepts, where this is involving engineering and experimental design methods to improve product and process design. So we need to identify key component and process variables affecting product variation. So Taguchi concepts covers quality robustness, quality loss function, and also target-oriented quality. So I'm going to explain these three concepts in the next few slides. Quality robustness is the ability to produce products uniformly in adverse manufacturing and environmental conditions. So it basically just means that if there are, for example, you were using oven to produce your product. So for example, if there are variation of 1 or 2 degrees, higher or lower, it would not affect your final product. Okay. So you remove the effects of adverse conditions, and small variations in materials and process do not destroy product quality. In terms of quality loss function, it shows that costs increase as the product moves away from what the customer wants. So costs in this case include customer dissatisfaction, warranty and service, internal scrap and repair, and also costs to society. Next, we have target-oriented quality. This is a philosophy of continuous improvement to bring the product exactly on target. So it strives to keep the product at the desired specification, where you're producing more and better units near the target. So the example of quality loss function is explained here, where if you are on target, in terms of target-oriented quality, so this part is basically the best category of product. So target-oriented quality brings product towards the target value, as you can see down here, right? And conformance-oriented quality keeps product within 3 standard deviations, meaning if the product is away from the target, higher or lower, if within 3 standard deviation, the product is still deemed acceptable in terms of quality. There are 3 types of TQM tools. The first type is for generating ideas, where we have check sheet, scatter diagram, and cause and effect diagram. The second type of TQM tool is to organize data, where we can use Pareto chart or a flowchart. The third type is to identify problems, where we can use histogram or statistical process control chart. So let's look at each of the 7 tools of TQM. We have here the first type, which is generating ideas. First, we can use check sheet, where this is basically a method to record data. So as you can see here, this diagram shows that we have 3 products. We have product A, B, and C, and how many defects we have in each hour. The second type of generating idea tool is scatter diagram. This is a graph of value of one variable versus another. So in this case, productivity and absenteeism. So if higher number of absenteeism, it will cause lower productivity. And then we have cause and effect diagram. So this is also called Ishikawa or the fishbone diagram, where this is a tool that identifies process elements or causes that might affect an outcome. This is the Pareto chart. So Pareto chart is a form of organizing data type of tool. A Pareto chart is a graph to identify and plot problems or defect in descending order of frequency. Okay, descending means lower. Next is a flowchart or process diagram, also for organizing data. So this is a chart that describes the steps in a process. Next is histogram, and this is a type where you identify problems. So a histogram is a distribution showing the frequency of occurrences of a variable. The last type of tools of TQM, also identifying problem, is statistical process control chart. This is a chart with time on the horizontal axis to plot values of a statistic. So as an introduction to this SPC chart, any values above upper or lower control limit is deemed out of control. That means there's problem in the control chart. So this is showing an example of your cause and effect diagrams. So we want to identify what causes missed free throws, and it can be identified through method, material, manpower, or machine. So these 4 M's are basically root cause that can cause the missed free throws. Okay, so you list down all the issues and then identify in a snapshot, we identify what are the problems. Next is Pareto chart. So this is for example 1. If you refer to your textbook, it says that the Hard Rock Hotel in Bali has collected data from 75 complaint calls to the general manager during the month of October, and the manager wants to prepare an analysis of the complaints. So the data provided are room service 54, check-in delays 12, hours the pool is open 4, minibus prices 3, and miscellaneous 2. So this Pareto chart is an excellent choice for this analysis, because now we can identify that majority of the issues comes from room service. So in this case, 72% of the calls were result of one cause, which is room service. So the majority of complaints can be eliminated when this one cause is corrected. Okay, so that's the conclusion that we can make. In the next example, we see that Arnold Palmer Hospital has undertaken a series of process improvement initiatives. One of these is to make MRI service efficient for patient, doctor, and hospital. So the first step the administrator believes is to develop a flowchart for this process. So as you can see here, there is steps 1 to 11. Okay, so when the administrator looks at this flowchart, he can then decide which steps can be improved or eliminated. Okay, so the statistical process control uses statistics and control charts to tell when to take corrective action. So this can drive process improvements. So we have 4 key steps, which is measuring the process. When a change is indicated, find the assignable cause, and then we need to eliminate or incorporate the cause and restart the revised process. So as you can see here, we have a control chart. Okay, so in this case, it plots the percent of free throws missed. Okay, so this is the example, and as I've mentioned before, if the measure is out or exceed the upper or lower control limit, then we identify that there is a problem. Under quality, you have an issue of inspection. So inspection involves examining items to see if an item is good or defective. So when we detect a defective product, it does not correct deficiencies or problems in a process or a product. And this method is expensive. So there are two issues related to inspection: when and where to inspect. So if you see in the next slide here, it gives you 7 points of when and where to inspect. First, at the supplier's plant while the supplier is producing. Second, at your facility upon receipt of goods from your supplier. Third, before costly or irreversible processes. Fourth, during the step-by-step production process. Fifth, when production or service is complete. Sixth, before delivery to your customer. And seventh, at the point of customer contact. So there are many problems related to inspection. Your workers get tired, there can be measurement errors and process variability. So instead of having inspection, you can have robust design, empowered employees, and also sound processes. So this is a form of inspection where we call it as source inspection, also known as source control. So the next step after this inspection is serving your customer. So you want to ensure perfect product to your customer. Poka-yoke is the concept of foolproof devices or techniques designed to pass only acceptable products. So as you can see in the picture before, the McDonald's fry scoop, to make sure that each fries are equal in quantity. Next, you have checklists to ensure consistency and completeness. So the example here is your pre-flight checklist for pilots. Okay, here are examples on the service industry. So when or what type of inspection can they do? So for example, in an office for a receptionist, they should answer the phone by the second ring. In Hard Rock Hotel, say for example the doorman, they should greet guests in less than 30 seconds of arrival. You have the Arnold Palmer Hospital. So in terms of billing, they should have accurate, timely and correct format. In a restaurant, the busboy should serve water and bread within 1 minute. So here are examples. We have one more example here, department store. So for example, at the display areas, you have attractive, well-organized, stocked, and having good lighting. Okay, so I just wanted to explain about attributes versus variables. So you need to understand these two terms so that you know what to measure. Okay, so in terms of attributes, it's deeming an item or a product either good or bad, acceptable or an unacceptable product. So this does not address degree of failure. So for example, in the case of a light bulb, whether it works or it doesn't work. Okay. For variables, it measures dimensions such as weight, speed, height, or strength. So falls within an acceptable range. So you can think of the mineral water bottle. So for example, if it contains 500 milliliter, if we are measuring it in terms of milliliter, then it should fall within an acceptable range. So we need to know the difference between attributes and variables because we use different statistical techniques to measure these two issues. Okay, so that's all for this chapter.